Hatchet Action News exclusive, The Doctorate of Deception and the Niqab Carousel. The opening screed, Oliver Crumpets hits the streets. Whoop whoop ninjas, this is Oliver Crumpets, your lead investigative correspondent, coming at you live for this weekly special report. I'm standing in front of a dumpster fire that smells like stale Faygo and grease paint melting heat, which is still a massive upgrade from the academic rot we're about to slice open. We're deep in the circus of the bizarre today, fam, pulling the wig off the ultimate academic predator, Allah Hamid, the PhD of pain. These stuck-up suits at University Utara Malaysia, UUM, and the local masjid leadership think a doctorate is just a hunting license to stalk the Ummah and play the fitra like a rigged carnival game. We're talking about a woman who spent years studying how men manipulate women just so she could flip the script and master the dark arts herself. Grab your hatchet and listen close, because we're exposing a serial Niqab jumper who's been playing the system like a crooked three-card Monte dealer. This ain't just drama, it's a strategic takedown of a high-functioning scrub using big words to hide dirty deeds. The blueprints of a predator, the thesis deep dive. Allah Hamid's 2020 doctoral thesis isn't just a dusty paper, it's a wicked instruction manual for manipulation. She weaponized Agnew's general strain theory, specifically focusing on the loss of positive stimuli to explain violence. But here's the so what, for the fam, she didn't study these tactics to stop them, she studied them to own them. She treats her husbands as positive stimuli to be extracted, and the second the strain of being a faithful wife hits, she discards them like a flat soda. By analyzing how perpetrators use religious justifications for control, she built herself a toolkit to gaslight the faithful. She preaches equity in her writing while executing total anarchy in her life, turning her expertise into a cloaking device for a high-functioning carousel of exploitation. The academic versus the anarchist. Thesis recommendation. The lived reality, her actions. Religious equity, calls for Quranic interpretations of mercy and spousal rights. The June 13 betrayal, publicly trashed her faithful husband as a coward manipulator while crowning her unemployed lover. Legal coordination, demands faster prosecutions and unified family laws. Document fraud, utilized forged Palestinian FASC certificates with Egyptian seals to dodge the law. Violence prevention, identifies religious misinterpretation as a driver of abuse. Weaponized rhetoric, uses her rights, articles Feb 17, 2024, to demand provision while she's busy committing zina. Social stability, emphasizes protecting the family and Palestinian honor. The carousel, logged 4-5 husbands in tilde 6 years, discarding covenants the moment a new stimulus appeared. Now ninjas, let's look at the math that don't add up. The timeline of this marital carnival ride is a statistical middle finger to common sense. The Niqab Carousel, a timeline of temporal chaos. Welcome to the math of duplicity, where the laws of time and space take a backseat to Allah's greed. The sheer speed of her marriages is a slap in the face to Islamic law. Between her 2020 PhD and her December 2022 Niqab to the faithful husband, she somehow managed a hidden cycle of 3 marriages. If you do the wicked clown math, 3 marriages plus 3 idas, 3 months each, equals 9 months of waiting minimum. That leaves almost 0 time for the actual marriages to exist. It's a mathematical impossibility, a temporal black hole. 2020, PhD awarded, the hunting license is issued. 2020-2022, the hidden cycle, 3 marriages crash-land in 2 years. With IDA requirements, this timeline is physically impossible without overlapping contracts. Dec 26, 2022, Niqab to the brother, a phone oath covenant she treated like a temporary lease. Feb 14, 2025, Valentine's Day betrayal, Zina conception with her Mark, Christopher. Mar 7, 2025, shotgun shahada, Christopher converts just in time to cover the tracks of the pregnancy. Mar 8, 2025, the battle, invalid, Niqab, a fake wedding to Christopher while she was still religiously bound to the brother. This timeline proves her December 2022 Niqab was IDA-defying from the jump. The paperwork was just as fake as her fidelity, ninjas. The Faskin forgery files. When the math fails, the PhD of pain reaches for the printer. Allah's strategic use of foreign document fraud is a wicked circus act. She presented a Palestinian FASC, annulment certificate to divorce the brother, but the forensics are a joke. She used Palestinian case 35722025, a case number from the future, to justify a timeline that's already dead on arrival. Even better, this Palestinian document features an Egyptian eagle seal. That's a jurisdiction mismatch that even a scrub could spot. She's a Palestinian PhD in Malaysia, but she was too lazy to find the right stamp for her lies. The 4 red flags of fraud. The Egyptian seal mismatch, an Egyptian national emblem on a supposed West Bank judicial document. The temporal loop, case 35722025, used to justify actions years prior. Unsigned blanks, the husband's authority section is empty, violating every procedural requirement in the book. Jurisdiction ghosting, claiming a West Bank FASC for a Malaysian US-based marriage with 0 local verification. The so what is simple, fam. She used this forgery to legally assassinate one marriage to make room for the next, all while keeping the brother's nafaka flowing into her pocket. Zina on Valentine, the Christopher conquest. Let's talk about the Valentine's Day betrayal. While the faithful husband was honoring his covenant, Allah was busy with a shotgun shahada for Christopher, an unemployed breakdancer living in a condo with twin adult sons. This wasn't just a random hookup, it was predatory. Allah used her position as a volunteer and Arabic teacher to gain access to student-parent networks, picking Christopher, the father of her own twin students from the post-Jumu'ah lessons, as her next mark. The scumbag comparison. In her February 17, 2024 Rights article, Allah demanded the world from a man. Christopher fails every single one of her own metrics. Allah's demand, stable provision and private housing. Christopher's reality, unemployed, living in a crowded condo with grown men. Allah's demand, emotional stability and no oppression. Christopher's reality, a post-conception convert who provides 0 nafaka and 0 housing. She targets marks who are easily controlled because they have nothing, using the faithful husband's money to fund her life with a scrub. It's high-functioning ASPD in full effect, fam. The weak link, Science Corner, N equals 35 versus reality. Time for some nerd math, ninjas, because science is the ultimate weapon against a fraudulent PhD. The Universal Fitra Harmony white paper has exposed Allah's thesis as a total weak link. Methodological fragility, N equals 35. Allah based her entire expert status on a sample of only 35 men. In the real world, that scholarship is underpowered like a weak battery in a flickering neon sign, beta approximately 0.72. The 34% fraud risk. The white paper quantifies her PhD as having a 34% fraud risk, PW approximately 0.34. This isn't a degree, it's a regional repository pass-through that shouldn't pass any US standard. Mealy state S3. This is what the scientists call an absorbing state of erosion. It describes the masjid leadership perfectly. They are so stuck in their ways they've become a vacuum for fraud. While her thesis was a hunting license, the counter-scholarship is the regulatory wall that revokes it. Her math is scrubbed here. The final hatchet, a call to the fam. Finally, we have to look at the institutional rot. The masjid leadership has barred the faithful husband, the man actually paying the bills, while they protect the predator. They rubber-stamped her forged FASCs and ignored the IDA math because they were blinded by a PhD halo. They are protecting a woman who targeted a student's father for zina while teaching Arabic at the mosque. This matters for the future of the Ummah, ninjas. If we let fake ninjas in hijabs destroy the fitra of marriage through document fraud and predatory, strain theory, manipulation, the whole community is at risk. Sound the alarm, flood the masjid with the IDA math, send the FASC-in forgery files to every uncle and auntie. Use every channel to expose the PhD of pain before she finds her next mark in your neighborhood. Whoop whoop, stay vigilant and keep it wicked. Oliver Crumpet's Hatchet Action News.